What's the good word, y'all? DKB here. Could the Johnsons sell the New York Jets within a couple of years? This is the huge question that kind of flashed out of nowhere recently. This was brought up by sports radio legend Mike Francesa. He was having a conversation with Mike Tannenbaum, and he happened to have said his many connects that he has in the league that's tapped in with the New York Jets and should know some of these inner workings have mentioned that that may be where we're heading within a couple years. Let's say the next 5 year plan. Now, the interview was a little interesting. It was more so kind of based on seeing if Mike Tannenbaum also had an inkling of this, or of course kind of playing that what Bleacher Report does with the fact or fiction kind of game, right? So it was up in the air. Essentially, he tossed out some ideas. There was a few signals that he mentioned, which could indicate this has already kind of been in the works. Woody Johnson having the United Kingdom's ambassadorship is kind of the entry point for this. He also fell in love with kind of the United Kingdom situation, everything that was happening over there. We've seen the interest with him submitting a pretty fairly large bid for Chelsea in the Premier League to basically be I think it was a minority owner. It might have been a majority for that team, and you would have to imagine he would have officially transitioned over there. This in reference to Woody Johnson, while his brother Christopher Johnson either sold the team or continued to run the operation in New Jersey for the New York Jets. So there wasn't anything substantial. I guess that's one of the main things I want to start out. There's no fact, there's nothing set in stone, no paperwork, anything that indicates this is true. This is all just based on some of whatever was happening in his circle and how those conversations panned out. But it is an interesting situation to bring up because we've seen over the years there's been a number of situations where not only have we tried to force the exit of coaches, coordinators, even Woody Johnson had the ire of the fans turned on him over plenty of seasons and definitely plenty of reasons to go along with that, starting from how he's conducted his coaching searches to who he's ultimately hired in comparison to who we've seen get hired in that same span around him and some of the success that the team has had. Think about his propensity for signing a lot of these defensive coaches, where he's at least within his tenure seen a lot more success rather than anybody from the offensive side necessarily. So you can't really fault him to a T. But there are a number of highlights that he's done. I think a lot of people forget a lot of the positive impact he's had on the team. So in relation to if this team can be sold, obviously, that's a yes. I don't think it personally will happen. Even Mike Tannenbaum had mentioned over the course of that interview that during his time with the with the owners, he's always got the sense that they're fully bought in and willing to contribute and do everything possible to the New York Jets' success. So very unlikely. Maybe something crazy happens where we run up another petition, we start flying airplanes over the MetLife Stadium or the Atlantic Health Training Center, different things of that variety. But as of now, personally, I would say it's unlikely. But let's dive into a bit of the history, at least from Woody Johnson's perspective, and what's happened since they bought this team, because there have been, again, a lot of positives. There's also been a lot of negatives. So let's kind of see where things fall at. Keep in mind, the Johnsons, they're going on essentially their 23rd year owning the New York Jets. They bought them back in 2000. We ended up moving into the MetLife Stadium after their arrival. We also moved into the Atlantic Health Jets and Training Center facility. That ended up being a huge plus. Nobody in the league doubts that we have not only one of the top venues in terms of the stadium and all of the different uses that that gets used for, but also our training center is top notch, and they always are pretty much trying to keep it up to date, as well as working on future date with some of the things that are working on in there. We know that he's active, in the philanthropy world and all those kind of things. So we've heard about recently the Ukraine donations. We also got our first girls flag football league, which has been getting a lot more press in the New Jersey area. And we've had the New York Her documentary series that has been coming out that's been touching on a lot of those things as well, which has been dope. And then into the main thing that everybody talks about, the performance on the field, right? We've gone through 7 coaches during his tenure, and it's interesting. I'll run down the names, and then there's a few highlights to call out here. So starting off with Al Groh, we moved to Herman Edwards, Eric Mangini, Rex Ryan, Todd Bowles, Adam Gase, Robert Saleh. So for most of the 90s fans, we're probably in that Herm Edwards to Eric Mangini realm of things. And then, of course, we got some of those prime twilight years of the Rex Ryan stage. But Al Groh, during his only season, actually has the best winning record of these 7 coaches that we've had during the Woody Johnson era. Rex Ryan has had the best playoff percentage, and then everybody else has seen varying degrees of success. I want to say it was Eric Mangini that went 1-1 in the playoffs, and then we haven't really seen a whole lot since Rex Ryan. And keep in mind, the majority of this list is defensive-minded head coaches. It makes a lot of sense for those earlier candidates, with it being more of a run-first, run-first offense for what those decades require. But all in all, it's been a lot of chaos in between then. We had the whole Adam Gase saga. That was very interesting. There was power plays and moments and things that happened there. Rex Ryan had, if I remember correctly, planes flown during his tenure in regards to getting rid of quite a few of his offensive coordinators. And so, yeah, it's been definitely a mess. But, one of the key highlight stats over this whole period is within 22 years of the Johnsons owning his team, we've seen the playoffs only 12 times, 12 games, win, loss, draw, it doesn't matter. We've seen a total of 12 games over this 22-year span, which is absolutely horrific. And 7 of those came in the Rex Ryan period. Where he had a 4-2 record. So we're hoping this Robert Saleh era kind of kicks things back into progression with us being continuous playoff bound contenders. But I'm curious what your guys' thoughts are. Is there anything that's been mentioned, things that haven't been mentioned as part of this video that you guys can recall kind of being chaotic with the team or being a huge success, and maybe that being a contributing factor if you would like to see Woody Johnson sell the team to a new owner or not? I would probably say as part of that, one of the final parting gifts would be, or parting thoughts would be that with a new ownership change, that's going to come with generally overhaul changes from top down. We'll probably lose Joe Douglas. We'll most likely lose Robert Saleh as a result of that. The entire organization within inside will change. Scouting staffs, the entire front office from, let's say the finance department on down, and how things are ran. So that would be an interesting situation that would shape up for us, because I'd be curious what the new owner's background is, which is a lot of what the Woodies have gotten, or the Johnsons, have gotten flack for, is their lack of background knowledge, even though they've definitely invested quite a bit in trying to make sure they're giving not only themselves but the staff that they're surrounding themselves with the best understanding and best way to have a successful franchise. So either way, again, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are regarding the selling of the New York Jets in a fantasy realm anyways, and kind of what will contribute to that. I'll catch you guys again. Peace.